The roar of dissent echoed through Parliament as a lone minister rose, anguish etched on his face. "I can no longer in good conscience be party to this Faustian bargain," he declared, his resignation letter landing with a sharp thud. The chamber froze, the moment raw and unscripted, sending shockwaves across the nation. News channels replayed the minister's ashen face, his words a damning indictment of a government adrift. Outside, London's streets seethed with protesters, their cries of betrayal echoing through the city. This was no mere policy dispute, it was a visceral reaction to a nation's soul being bartered away. The $500 billion deal with China, long rumoured, was now reality. Its reach deeper and more insidious than anyone had feared. Britain, cradle of democracy, stood on the verge of surrendering sovereignty, not to an army, but to the seductive whisper of economic expediency. The seeds of discontent were sown after the 2008 financial crisis, as China's booming economy eyed opportunity in a weakened West. Chinese investments began subtly luxury London apartments, airports, even football clubs, all snapped up by Chinese capital. Britain, desperate for investment, welcomed the influx, eager to project post-Brexit openness. But beneath the surface, unease grew. China wasn't content as a passive investor. They wanted influence, a seat at the table, and their methods were subtle but persistent. What started as partnership shifted, China's grip tightened as investments grew bolder. The government, blinded by economic need, ignored the warning signs. The relationship became asymmetrical, with China holding all the cards. Power, not partnership, was the real prize. The first wave of Chinese investment focused on non-strategic sectors, met with acceptance, even enthusiasm. Real estate and football clubs were transformed by Chinese ownership, their deep pockets a lifeline for struggling assets. Airports like Heathrow and Gatwick saw significant Chinese stakes, a visible sign of shifting power. Even pubs and restaurants changed hands as China tapped into the UK's consumer market. The government touted these investments as a vote of confidence in Britain's future. But beneath the optimism, a subtle shift was underway. China's economic might was no longer just about business. It was about influence. The implications for sovereignty were only beginning to surface. Brexit in 2016 left the UK in limbo, its economy vulnerable and its alliances uncertain. China seized the moment, offering investment and partnership as the UK sought new allies. The government, eager to prove Brexit wouldn't mean isolation, embraced China with open arms. Trade deals were signed, and China was hailed as a strategic partner in Britain's future. Critics warned of China's human rights abuses and authoritarian ambitions, but these concerns were brushed aside. Economic prosperity blinded leaders to the risks. This embrace paved the way for deeper Chinese influence, far beyond mere investment. A slow erosion of sovereignty began as dependence on China grew. The cost of this partnership would soon become clear. China's ambitions became clear with two landmark deals, Hinkley Point and Huawei. The Hinkley Point nuclear deal gave a Chinese state-owned company a stake in critical infrastructure, setting a dangerous precedent. Emboldened, China pushed for more, like Huawei's bid to supply the UK's 5G network. Despite security warnings, the government nearly allowed Huawei access, sparking backlash at home and abroad. Allies like the US and Australia raised alarms about espionage risks. Under pressure, the UK partially reversed course, but the damage was done. These deals exposed deep divisions over balancing economic gain with national security. The tension between Chinese investment and British sovereignty was now undeniable. After Brexit, Chinese investment in the UK surged, doubling to over $20 billion annually by 2020. Much of this investment was hidden behind shell companies, making true ownership hard to trace. Suspicions grew that China was deliberately acquiring control over key sectors. The government, desperate for growth, failed to stem the tide. By 2025, Britain's reliance on China was undeniable. a nation once proud of its independence now entangled in economic dependence. The $500 billion deal shattered illusions, its scale and terms unprecedented. Leaked clauses revealed Chinese companies could veto UK decisions and dictate policy in key sectors. Gag clauses would silence British criticism of China's human rights abuses. The deal, rushed through with little transparency, felt like a betrayal. Public outrage exploded, protests erupted, demanding the deal's cancellation. Britain, not Beijing, became the rallying cry for a nation desperate to reclaim its sovereignty. The deal split Britain. Some saw it as economic necessity, others as a betrayal of values. Debates raged in Parliament, the media, and homes across the country. Families and friendships fractured as the nation's identity was called into question. The world watched, seeing the UK transform from beacon of democracy to cautionary tale. The crisis forced Britain to confront hard truths about its values and future. The consequences would echo for years. Could the UK break free from China's grip, or was it already too late? The fate of a nation now hung in the balance.